Ex-girlfriend and friend still of David's post-breakup, Keira has caused commotion with her posted message on Twitter September 18th, 2025, where she exposed her relationship with David Anthony Burke, also known as the now-disgraced singer David, D4VD. Keira claims not to defend him, but only wants to give an account of the role that he had in her life. If the online timeline provided by private investigator Steve Fisher and the online sleuths is true, then Keira was David's girlfriend right before Celeste. The information that she provides gives us a clearer understanding into who David is and what tactics he allegedly used to get close to Keira and other underage girls, including Celeste Rivas-Hernandez. Hello and welcome to JungleStream. Join me as I break down David's ex-girlfriend Keira's account of her relationship with the infamous singer. While she is no longer a minor, she mentions in her message that she did not want the type of exposure that she's received since her messages with David were leaked online. So I will not state her full name out of respect for her privacy. These are my thoughts and speculations that are based on what Keira has shared through her messages, photos, videos, and texts, as well as what the LAPD inner sources and the online sleuths have revealed, and what this could all mean for the Celeste Rivas-Hernandez case. Please hit subscribe, and if you like my content, hit like as well. I'd appreciate it. Do add your thoughts in the comment section on YouTube. I'd love to know what you think. If you're listening on the podcast platforms, please subscribe there too. Thank you. So let's get started. Of course, for legal reasons, I have to mention that while we are doing our best to verify that the information in texts, group chats, live stream chats, and videos and photographs is real, we cannot confirm with 100% certainty that all is authentic and none has been altered or manufactured because we have no tangible evidence from law enforcement to corroborate at this time. But I will say that in my opinion, it all looks real and authentic. And if someone were trying to set up David, then they took many years planning a very well-orchestrated takedown. If we take Keira's account as true and at face value, then David and Keira's relationship as Celeste's also sat on a foundation of lies, hidden truths, and secrets. Keira shared that she met David when she was 16 and he was 17. This was right before David hit it big with his music career. She explained that they were super close, but their relationship was more love-bombing than anything else. They fed off of each other's attention. He introduced her to Christianity. He said their relationship was a learning lesson for both of them, and mentioned maturity level as the reason why they broke up, but did so on good terms. Keira posted, "Hi, I am one of David's ex-good friends, exes. I am the one he was texting in our iMessage conversation that leaked. And I am the one from that one comment where I say we were together when I was 16 and he was 18. I had deleted this immediately because I felt that I have too much information out, and my brain was still processing the fact that I recognized her name and seemingly face from a Spotify user, Celeste, he used to follow. I want to be clear that our relationship never ended on bad terms. I met him when he was a minor himself, 17, and we both realized that getting into a relationship was a mistake. I also want to make it clear that this is not for clout or personal attention towards me. I am trying to be as anonymous as possible while still proving I am credible. I know that isn't possible though, which sucks. I don't want to just be known online forever as his ex, but I also don't want to have very little info that results in speculation, and I also want to help provide more information about that TikTok account. I'll give bits and details of things that were very prominent that I remember, as well as the main point of the 0907 user in his TikTok DMs. I'm sorry this is written poorly. I really don't talk about situations in detail like this ever. David broke up with me because of maturity differences and told me it was a learning experience for the both of us. The other breakup text earlier on, leaked by Englezi, who was known to allegedly leak David's music, and he released a song they had together on all platforms without David's permission. That is why David didn't have the best view on him, etc. He told me that himself. I was disrespected by those texts being leaked. I never wanted my personal life out there and thought I could trust Englezi because I used to know him in 2023 before David told me everything. If it's true that David was dating Celeste, I'm beyond disappointed and disgusted. If she was the girl he dated in late 2023, that means I was the girl before her. David once told me I was someone who got the most empathy out of him in a long time. We were super close, but a lot of it was love bombing. And as he said himself, we were quite literally feeding off of each other's attention, etc. He did introduce me to Christianity, though, and taught me mindsets that have stuck with me He really helped be the stepping stone for me to turn my life around. I know me saying this sounds like I'm trying to defend him or make him look good, but this is just me giving information on the role he played in my life. David told me our relationship was a learning lesson for the both of us and mentioned maturity differences. If he had fully taken that lesson and grown from the smaller mistakes, this would not have happened. That is what feels so insane. People are getting the timeline of David allegedly being close with Celeste wrong, I believe. When David and I were together, he sent me screenshots of his TikTok DMs in April of 2023. The user 0907 was not on it. Around June or July, he sent a screenshot of them again, and I asked who everyone was. He explained his best friend Davian and his other friend Caroline he went to prom with at the time, who is Davian's sister and another good friend of his, but he didn't explain that 0907 username. I believe they got around this time, if they dated. If that was her username, these DMs were on his old TikTok burner account, Fetch Me Their Souls, which he later changed to Grade A Trey, before deleting it early of 2024. He also got a new phone number early 2024 around March or April, presumably because he had the same one before fame. I had a comment that was spread around saying how we dated, and the reason why it's in quotes is because I was taken through the gates by a staff member after his June 28th Dallas concert. Correct me if I'm wrong, it might have been the 27th. Anyone who was there might remember me. I handed him art that I made from when we first met around August or September of 2022, and he pretended to not know me and asked for my name. Even my dad, who attended with me, was confused. I was driven 2 or 3 hours to go to Dallas just to see his concert, and I was on his guest list last minute because my mom accidentally only got a balcony ticket. However, he especially lied to people in his Discord when I'd pop up and chat with him. He seemed to have very caring and strong values, even in general. In 2023, there was this one girl in his server that he even told me was 15, and people preyed on her a ton, so he tried to protect her a lot. The second time I saw him was at LAX in January of 2024. He coincidentally turned directly in front of me. He didn't know I was there, and it felt like something that only happened in a movie. I texted him if he was at LAX, etc., etc. He replied yes and whatnot, and then I asked if I could say hi, and he didn't reply. I confronted him later on it, and he apologized. He said that he was listening to a band's new album and gets distracted easily. I had also confronted him because on Snapchat, I had opened up that I felt depressed again in around October of 2023. He replied saying something along the lines that because he's a realist, it might not align with his opinion, and then said, I was just comfortable in my depression and that people have it worse, that I shouldn't be grieving my friend anymore who committed a life-ending act June 30th of 2023. He broke up with me a few weeks later. I was set in a depressive episode 100% feeling like I was losing the two most important and caring people I know. Before anyone says it was wrong of him to do that, I think reality hit for him, how love-bomby we were, etc., when someone close to me passed. When I confronted him about this along with the LAX thing, he apologized a few times and told me it was probably when he was in a depressive episode. Below, I will attach screenshots that is not to be used for speculation, but rather to help organize timelines, etc. I do not think investigators will want information from me. It is pretty lackluster considering I was not close to him while he was allegedly close to Celeste. David's breakup text to Keira from June 14th at 1:13 a.m. states, Hola. Okay, so I've been up all night thinking logically about you, work, life, relationships, and realized something that you'd agree with if you see it the way I do. Straight from my heart, I really, really, really love you, but I have been checking my schedule for the rest of this year and next year, and I'm barely in Texas. I believe long-distance relationships work under the right conditions, like you being able to travel with me, etc. But you're still in school. With that also being said, I don't like hiding anything from anyone. I would love to have a public relationship with someone, but the way this is going, it's like we have to be a secret or something. I want you to be happy, but you still have so much left to do in these last 2 years of high school, and it may change your view on this entirely. And I would gladly wait for you if we are both in the right headspace when that time comes. I want to still be here for you, though, and talk like we did before it got complicated. I love and care about you and need to make sure you're not alone. We are still interlinked. Please express yourself thoroughly. Please no Oki or KK. I want to know everything going through your head. David later texted her again. The last thing that I want is to drag things out. That's why when I came back to the US, I immediately sent you the paragraph I did, because the longer it went on, the worse it was going to get. These things happen in life, and I take it as a learning experience for both of us. You absolutely need to guard your heart. I have experienced a lot of things in my 18 years of living that most people couldn't even fathom. Things that shaped me into the person that I am, good and bad. And that's not demeaning any of the events in your life, but the difference in maturity would undoubtedly push us apart in the long run. I sincerely apologize for the messages that were sent and the conversations that were had between us, a lot of which reflects terribly on myself as a Christian more than anything else. After the breakup, David and Keira stayed connected. Keira was questioning basically why things ended. She shared what sounds to be melancholic messages from a conversation that had already been started with them both. She inquired, "Where this always happens to me, where I never find happiness, LMAO. Being left behind with nobody who will ever be like you." David replied, "Because the reality of it is, this is life. The same thing has happened to me multiple times. People have walked out of my life at the worst times, died at the worst times. Friends ended themselves. Watching someone you're close to hurt themselves day after day, and you can't do anything about it. And I'm not saying this to invalidate your feelings at all, but there are 8 billion people in this world. We are all human. We are all flawed. But the biggest, most important trait you can have as a human being amongst this society is to simply accept. Accept what is and accept what is not. Accept what comes and accept what goes." Keira further asked, "But why don't you care, dude? Why does everything mean nothing to you about me?" To which David replied, "I'm going to need you to read this very carefully. I care about you. I sympathize with you. You have been the person to get the most empathy out of me in a long time. All I want is to see you happy, and I love to help people in any way that I can. But what I cannot do is be the source of someone's happiness." David did not care that she was grieving the death of her best friend. He almost scolded her for feeling sad and still grieving her friend. He had no sympathy and broke up with her and told her that she was comfortable in her depression. He also chose to blame the breakup on her immaturity at this time. If that doesn't show how insensitive he was, I don't know what does. Sure, he said he cared and loved her and wanted her to be happy, but those words were empty. He had already gotten what he wanted from her and was okay with letting her go. But let's take a look at the beginning of this all, at what appeared to be a passionate and criminal relationship between David and the underaged Keira, and between David and other underaged girls. We previously thought that the young girl photographed with David in a bedroom and where she kisses the side of his face was Keira, but we've recently been made aware that this is not Keira, David's ex. It is another young girl. I'll be doing some digging and can hopefully learn more about this other relationship. What is clear is that David has been busy, and he had more than 2 underage relationships that we know of. Let's discuss David's body language in the pictures. David seemed proud to be with her and didn't show any level of hesitation when holding her and being photographed by her. There is a clear degree of intimacy between them in both pictures, but in particular the picture where they hug in a bedroom, with his hands resting on her lower back and she showed part of her stomach. David portrayed himself in this picture as if being completely and helplessly smitten and enamored with this girl. He looks at her seductively as she takes the picture from the reflection of the mirror. There is no doubt that there had already been a high level of intimacy between them. The familiarity between them speaks volumes. She covers her face in both pictures. This is clearly something that David asked of them in order to protect their identities, thus protecting him from the authorities. Another photo shows her romantically kissing him on the side of his face as she stood behind him and he stares at the camera. His body language in this picture is that of a proud Don Juan, who appears to gloat that he had the girl crazy for him. Keira said it best in her Twitter post. He love-bombed her and then took it back like nothing and at the worst time, one can say. He appeared to be obsessed with her, as we can hear in his lyrics for the song Ropes, which he wrote for her. The first letter of each line in the lyrics spells out a letter of Keira's name. This was obviously something that he spent time writing for her. The song is dark and talks about what could only be described as ritualistic acts. He says, "She opens the wound up and pours her blood out." Many believe his lyrics almost sound like spells, since they talk about what we can only interpret as ceremonial and ritualistic acts. I'll read the full lyrics to the song Ropes. that he sent to Keira on June 10th, 2023 at 2:57 a.m. The song Ropes reads, "Keeping my heart tethered to another, etching my blood along this rope. In everything I do, I will not let it break. Right alongside me, she opens a wound and pours her blood out on it as well. Knowing this rope is paper thin, effervescently tugging, pulling, longing, inch by inch, I am held closer. Rightly so I feel heavy. All of me being held by this rope. Nodding away at the end, my heart again, eager to conjoin with hers. But I must remember I am being held. Remember I am being pulled upwards, able to drop at any second, keen to feel everything she has to offer, internal and external, reaching for her now. Are we in love? Because the love is definitely in us." In this song, David shows that he was beginning to obsess over Keira in the same manner that we have come to learn that he was for Celeste. David showed time and time again that he was completely obsessed with Celeste, as we can hear in his song titled Celeste, and all the Celeste lookalikes in every video for his music. David didn't hide the fact that he liked little girls. Those on the group chats even messaged about their discontent between each other. One particular individual mentions that he reported David several times, but that nothing had happened. What is not clear is who he or she reported David to. Was it to the authorities, or to the moderators on the Discord, or Fortnite group chats? Other members in his Discord server even posted messages directly to David stating that they couldn't wait until law enforcement arrested him for being with 13-year-old girls. Keira shared other past text messages with David. She did not share the date of these messages, but from the context, we can assume they were a couple. In the messages, she clearly showed she was having a hard time trusting him as she questioned David on who a girl from David's Discord server was. Keira asked, "Who's Kirsten? Everybody's saying they know you so well. This is entertaining. By the way, if you want a Spotify den, let me know." David responded, "She's a girl who's been in the server since it dropped. She's 15 and gets preyed upon. Hella, I'm trying to protect her from this. But these are sick." Keira then replied, "Oh." David continued, "I'm no longer sending TikToks to anybody else." Keira then stated, "Sorry, I have trust issues maybe. I overthink easily. I'm not going to force you not to. It depends on the subject of them." David responded, Nah, I'm creating a hyperfixation on you. I literally don't need to send to anyone. I don't even watch what they send. Currently removing all my Twitter followers too, so I can tweet in peace." And that concluded the group of texts. It's important to note that in these texts, David admits to knowing what online predators are doing on his own server, and still he chose to do nothing. He was the server owner and held the ultimate control and had the ability to block and report them, and yet he did not do so. He was still talking about the predators, which means that he knew who they were, as he continued to try to protect Kirsten, or so he claimed. We have more messages between the two, from when they were in a relationship, and we do have the dates on these. Keira messaged, "On July 3rd, 2023, someone I was close friends with for months just passed away from self-ending. This can't be real. Wait, my apologies for texting you about this. I hope you have a good rest of your day. Thank you for being in my life always. And if you ever have anything wrong ever that's on your mind, I can be your outlet, Just saying this in general right now." David replied the day after, this being July 4th, 2023 at 3:56 p.m. Thank you. My bad. I've been dealing with this airport situation all day. LMAO. Flight got canceled." She replied, "Aw, that sucks." He then inquired, "Your parents know about it?" She replied, "They don't. Only my oldest sister knows." He then responded, "Please just make sure you're still taking care of yourself, though. You were doing very well. I know your emotions are everywhere right now and can make you not want to eat or even get out of bed, but you gotta be strong." Keira then said, "I'm trying, but I definitely have not been able to eat or anything since I found out. LOL. These messages were of when she had told David about her best friend ending his life, just before David broke up with her and blamed her immaturity for it. From how she started the text and then apologized to David for having shared something so raw and personal, we can see that their relationship was superficial. He was clearly the one in control in the relationship. He chose when to be in a relationship with her and when he could completely ignore her due to life issues as a flight being canceled. We can all relate to that, right? A flight being canceled can make us all forget about our spouses, our children, our work, and so on for an entire day. I say this sarcastically, of course. So basically, his flight had been canceled, and that took everything out of him to the point where he couldn't even deal with a text from his alleged girlfriend, and didn't even wonder how and where she was. He chose to see her message the following day. She appeared to be doing everything in her power to be in contact with him and find some closeness between the two. This is why David cannot have a relationship with a girl his own age. Girls his own age would not put up with this nonsense and his small man hang-ups. Girls his own age would see right through his games and insecurities. Keiras shared more text, though we are not sure when these texts about Atami are from, but it was from when they were a couple. David and Keira texted about David's very dark alter ego, Atami. Atami is his deliberate ending of lives with extreme violence alter ego. He texted his alleged ex-girlfriend about his alter ego dismembering her arms in the same manner that it's believed Celeste's arms were detached. David said, "Imagine getting hacked by my alter ego." Keira replied, "I don't know how I have that character. I would definitely win an Atami fight-off." He stated, "No, you would not." She responded, "Proof?" David said, "No, you not winning against me. You definitely not winning against Atami." Keira replied, "I would karate chop that bee. How would I not win against you? Let's be real." David sent a GIF of an individual without his arms and responded, "You after me and Atami cut both your arms off." Keira then shared what happened to be the last messages between her and David in 2023. They had obviously already broken up, and the relationship, whatever it had been, was no longer a priority to David. She was finding a way to let him know that she would be in California near him, just in case if he wanted to see her, but it didn't seem to faze him at all. He did not ask her any questions about when she'd be in town or how long even. If private investigator Steve Fisher and the online sleuth's timelines are correct, this would now be the time when David and Celeste were in some type of relationship. Keira sent him a message sometime before November 15th, 2023. "Do you know a Cali beach I can do a bonfire at? I know you posted one on your CF before, if I'm not mistaken, so thought I'd ask." He replied instantly, "Yeah, of course, Santa Monica Beach or Long Beach is good." The next text was from Keira to David on Wednesday, November 15th at 4 p.m., where she says, "Hey, it's been a while since we last spoke. How have you been?" To which she did not get any response. Keira texted again on Saturday, December 23rd at 2:17 a.m. "Wishing you well always, and I hope one day we can reconnect," to which he did not respond either, though it did show that he had seen the message on Sunday, December 24th. When Keira still tried to keep in touch with him and shared that she would be in California, he said nothing else after he answered her question about a beach where she could have a bonfire. He did not ask to see her or ask how she was. Still, Keira showed her good-hearted nature and sent a few more messages to the person that she thought as important in her life, but in his not bothering to respond even to her last two messages from November 15 and December 23rd, it was clear at that point that David had already moved on and was not interested in continuing with a friendship or even a cordial acquaintance. He had found a younger girl that he would groom, manipulate, and convince into leaving her home, family, and friends to be with him around the clock, since that is clearly not going to happen with Keira, though he had tested her when he sent her the breakup text and asked her to express herself thoroughly. David showed who he was since the beginning of their relationship. It was all about him and what he wanted and needed, and clearly Keira was not as impressionable as the younger Celeste. David needed someone that he could mold into what he thought was the picture-perfect girlfriend in his twisted mind. But do not confuse yourself. David did take advantage of Keira, and once he had gotten all that he wanted from her, he walked away without thinking twice when he knew that she was grieving an important loss in her life. There was no compassion or emotion in his long breakup message. His words only blamed her immaturity for their breakup. Keira's account of what transpired during her relationship without a doubt adds another disturbing layer of David's criminal past and his growing comfort level in associating more personally with underage girls. I want to close this expose into who David is through the eyes of his ex-girlfriend Keira by sharing a group of texts of when David and Keira were still a couple, according to Keira. These texts at the airport prove how selfish and self-centered and narcissistic David has always been. Everything has always been on David's time, and he did not care about anyone other than himself. This is a pattern that we see in every one of David's relationships, is that he does as he pleases with these young girls because he calls the shots. He replies when he wants and will cut off the communication mid-conversation in a blink of an eye, with no consideration to their feelings if he feels inclined to do so. He will see them if he wants and when he wants. He does not care that his alleged girlfriend that had traveled from Texas and was right in front of him, giving them an opportunity to see each other, to converse in person. Keira recounted this story in her initial message posted on Twitter, where she stated that she had seen him at the airport and that he had ignored her after she asked if she could say hi. She further stated that she had later confronted him about it and that he had apologized while using one of the lamest excuses of all times. He got caught up listening to a band's new music and forgot about messaging her back. By the time that he did reply, she was clearly not at the airport anymore, and the chance of meeting had disappeared. So this is how the communication went on that day. Keira messaged, "You at the airport?" To which David replied, "Yeah, LMAO." Keira responded, "Bro, I'm near you. You walked right in front of me." I was like, WTF. I'm literally by where you are. David then said, "Oh, word? No way. There's a flight to Austin right there. LMAO. And Keira quickly responded, "I know, that's me. Can I say hi or should I not bother? Help. That's cray-cray." While Keira has convinced herself into believing that David cares for her as a friend, though it's clear that he does not care in the least, I don't think Keira realizes just how lucky she is to have evaded Celeste's final end, especially seeing that he had already mentioned his evil and murderous alter ego, Atami. He had even gone into detail about his dismembering her arms in text when they dated. Of course, many will say that it was a joke, but if we've come to learn anything about David, is that there are no coincidences. His music and music videos speak of what happens in the future. This is not a coincidence. Please hit the like and share if you've enjoyed this content. Share your thoughts below in the comment section. What do you think of Keira's account? Is she chasing fame, or does this sound authentic? I think we can all agree that she undoubtedly must be feeling very lucky today that her relationship with David did not work out.